It's Monday, July the 7th, 2014, and we're vertical mowing greens again this morning. We double vertical mowed them two directions last week, last Tuesday, and we've had some pretty good growth, and we were a little behind on our vertical mowing, so we vertical mowed again and this Monday. But we're going to show you in close detail a little bit sort of how we do it. You can see he's going at a 45 here. This is one of our 4 different patterns that we go. We do change our directional mowing on these vertical mowing. It's real important that you do that. And he does a backtrack method, which is going down grain and coming back in the same pass. That way you get the grain no matter which way it lays. If you don't do that, there'll be some times that you won't get your grain because forward rotating blades won't really vertical mow properly when you're going uphill with the grain, or against the grain, so to speak. It's so most people are doing this backtrack method now. It's pretty common. You can see it's not that aggressive. Also, some of the areas that tend to puff or pull on these crowns, I'm going to show you a prime example. You can see right here how this is trying to pull and puff a little bit. It's pretty common. You can get a little bit thick. What you need to do there, instead of mowing behind this where it's pulling on these thicker areas, like right here you can see it's a little puffier, what you need to do is come back and roll this with your roller and mash it down before you mow it. That way you won't pull as bad, and a lot of times you can add just a little bit of water to that and roll it, and it'll lay it down and you can mow it and it won't scalp off. If you mow it when it's pulled up like that, it will scalp it. So you don't want to run a brush or a groomer on your mower either after you vertical mow. Just run straight mower. That way you won't tend to scalp. And scalp Ultradwarfs, they don't heal up very fast. It's not a very good thing to do. We always put a little water down. We'll show you here in a minute. We put water down in front of the mowers before they vertical mow. It makes the grass lubricate better and it doesn't pull as bad. This is our number 16 green. He's fixing the vertical mow it next, and he's over here vertical mowing right now. So I just run in the Freedom radio here and keep it in front of him right before he gets to the green. I turn on 3 or 4 minutes of water. That's on a full circle head, just to make sure we got plenty of moisture on that top 1 inch. Really, it's not even 1 inch you're looking for. You're just looking for it to lubricate the top surface, and makes the vertical mowing go a lot better. Okay, this is our unit that we use to vertical mow with. It's just a standard Toro 3150, as you can see, the 3150 triplex. This unit also has the older style reels. I'd like to show you, it has the wheels, the little wheels on the outside instead of, and they have little scrapers on them, as you can see right here, to keep the wheels clean as it goes around. And I really like these units a lot better than the newer units would have the front rollers and the rear rollers. This has no rear roller, it just has wheels, and as you can see, the wheels are on the outside of this frame. So all this debris that's being thrown out typically by these forward rotating reels, it's going to come out primarily forward, because the shroud keeps the material inside and then it circulates around and comes out forward. People forget that on forward rotating reels, if you have a rear discharge chute and you open it up, well, then it throws it out the back. But when you have an enclosement shroud, it throws it in the front, and that's why you have all this debris getting out here on the front of this material. And if you have a roller out here that's going to get going to be very hard to keep it clean. You're going to have a scraper or some way to keep that clean as it goes around. As it builds up on the roller, your height changes, and it gets real frustrating because you set these things real accurately and they tend to change on you as you go around. It doesn't do a very good job with these rollers. We've used them for years. It does the same depth all the way around, and it does a very good job. You have to watch for the little wheels. Sometimes they'll stick on you, but other than that, these are old reels that we've got that we rebuilt. I think you can still get these reels through R&R. I think I saw them in their catalog that they do offer these style. But it has the wheel on it, and the wheel's on the outside, and that's a big deal because, like I said, it's outside the area that gets thrown trash on and clippings. And we don't use carbide tips here. We don't like those. We like the standard spring steel Toro blades that you see right here. They're sharper and they're thinner, and they're able to penetrate and pull less on Ultradwarf. Those wider carbide tips are just don't, when you have that large a surface area, you can't get the depth and penetration. It's sort of like, do you want somebody to operate on you with a thin, sharp knife, or you want them to use an axe with a wider blade? I mean, it's the same principle. I think these do much better, and a lot of people are switching back to these have seen much improvement. Now, the next question is, what kind of spacing do I run? It's real important. We run 2 spacers in between here. As you can see, there's 2 spacers between these blades. One space is a little too tight. You can use one space, but you can't get any depth. You can't set it down deep when you use one spacer. We've tried it. And if you use 2, it's about the right distance apart. They're about 3/8 to a half inch apart. And if you use 3 between, a lot of people I've seen had 3 spacers between, it widens out. You can go deeper with less blades, but the frequency is not high enough. I don't like, it's just too wide apart and you don't affect enough surface area. So I like the 2 spacing. I think it's about perfect. And I think the backtrack method, where you're using, you're going to get pretty good thorough comprehension of surface coverage when you do that. We're going to crank this thing up now and run a few strips for you on 16 here. These blade depths are set at 65 thousandths below 0, and that would be below the bottom of the front roller. So our negative 65 thousandths. You see the first pass, he always goes downhill or down grain, and that's pretty important because that's going to be your most aggressive pass, and he's going to track back in this same pass he just made. It tends to help kind of lay it back over a little bit when you do it in that order. If you reverse that order and start at the bottom first and come down on the second pass, it tends to leave it pushed up or puckered up a little bit too much, and when you mow it off, it'll scalp on you. Always start on the high side and go down first like he's doing, and then come back up against it. It'll tend to lay it over a little bit better. I don't know if you can see it, but this first pass is laid over better than that other pass. I'll show you how it tends to lay it over. That laid that back down better than it did just going over it one time. It's just something about doing it that way. But anyway, he's like I said, he had 65 thousandths. Sometimes we'll go as low as 70. And when you have those new blades, like I was showing you, the new Toro blades, they have a real square corner on them because they're the way they're cut when they're new. And when they're new, you can't go 65 below because that corner acts kind of as a high point or an edge, and you can only start out at about 0, but it still does about the same depth But either way, when you have new blades, you need to start probably around 0, even with the ground. And as they wear over a period of time, you can go down with the depth and get them deeper. Now, we have gone as low as 100 thousandths below 0, and you can do that. It's just a pretty aggressive cut, and we only do that if we do feel like we need to, which we haven't been doing that in a long time. But if we feel like we need to, we always do it right before we aerate. That way nobody knows. It doesn't seem to create havoc with the golfers. And the 100 thousandths, like I said, can be done, but if you stay on your vertical mowing and do it light like this once a week, or maybe even twice during the week, you don't really let the grass get ahead of you. And we like to use the analogy, you take out the trash every other day, or do you take the trash out once a month? Well, if you do it once a month, it gets way ahead of you, and you don't, and it's real hard to do, and you have a lot of mess on your hands. Whereas you keep the frequency going. You know, frequency, there is a reason that we do things on a frequency schedule. It's called quality. If frequency didn't matter, we would just mow greens once a week. That's why we can get into something like the US Open or some big tournament. They're cutting greens 2 or 3 times in the morning and 2 or 3 times in the afternoon. There's a reason for that frequency, because it increases quality. You can't do it at that frequency year-round, because you wear out your areas. Like where you turn, you can see how much trouble we have doing this procedure with our greens the way they're built. If we did this every day, all these little turnaround areas would wear out. But we're going to average, during the growing season, we average light vertical mowing once a week. When it's cool and in the fall, we only vertical mow. In the spring, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. And of course, when it's late spring, late fall, very early spring, and winter, we don't vertical mow at all. You just don't need to. It's all based on how fast the grass is growing. As the grass grows faster, all these processes should increase in frequency or compress together in the intervals. As the grass slows down in growth, they widen back out. It's pretty simple. But that's kind of how we do it. I'm going to pause and show you when the guy gets over here and how he clean this up and what it looks like after it's mowed. These guys are blowing off the screen right after he vertical mowed it. You have to do that to get the sand up that vertical mowing brings up. Now he's fixing to mow it. And he's just going to single cut the screen today, because we're hydrojecting right behind this. And then we're going to top dress after we hydroject today. So we got a lot going on, but we normally don't top dress on Mondays. We usually top dress on Tuesdays, because we double hydroject on Mondays every Monday, 2 directions on the slowest speed, which takes forever. But we're going to stay a little bit late today and get it done, because we've got a USGA meeting this week and we need to get this done and out of the way. I'm going to let him mow this, and then I'm going to putt some balls and show you how well it putts behind this vertical mowing. It actually makes the putting better. When you do the light vertical mowing, it just makes the golfer's life so much nicer. And like I said, we don't have a heavy vertical mow here. We never have in 36 years, and we don't have a heavy thatch layer at all. It's not the vertical mowing that keeps your thatch down. It's the light management of your nitrogen, the proper management of nitrogen, and the light frequent top dressing. That's what really dilutes that thatch layer. Top dressing's always been the best thatch control. I've seen it on fairways, I've seen it on greens. Guys that inherited large thatch layers were able to control it by getting on a really good top dressing program and watching their fertility. I'll go down here and show you this. cleaning this up and it's not scalping or anything. And after we vertical mow, we don't use brushes or groomers because the grass is kind of pulled up. And if you turn those on, sometimes it wants to kind of aid and make it scalp worse because it pulls it up a little bit farther. With reverse rotating groomers, it will pull it up a little more. So we just turn them off after we vertical mow. And I think it's a real good idea to do that. It's a lot safer. You just don't want to scalp this stuff. Once you scalp it, it takes forever to heal. I'm sure you've seen that if you scalped your Ultradwarf before. And anybody that's got Ultradwarf has scalped it at some point. Everybody has done it. And we try to keep from doing that. We don't like scalping. We've been pretty good at it over the years of not having any scalping issues. We'll pause again here. When he finishes, I'll roll some balls for you. One of the things I want to reiterate is that